So Mr. Ed here on a not so pretty day after Christmas, December 26th, 2024. And I can't believe it myself, but today I am going to be processing honey. That's right, December 26th, and I'm processing honey. This is the latest I've ever done that. And the reason being is because I just had so many things going on. I've never been able to have the time to go out and collect the third supers that were on our boxes. So last week I was able to help, well, with the help of Julio and Good Time Charlie, I was able to bring in the boxes, and that video has already been posted, so you'll just have to look at that one. But I'll put a link to it. But today I'm going to go ahead and actually start uncapping all those frames and spinning out the honey. I wound up with about 180 frames that had honey on them. I'm not saying that these frames are loaded with honey. Most of them are very sparse with honey, but some of them are full. Some of them are full. So I don't know exactly how much honey we'll get, but I do know that it's about 180 frames of them, and I might be having to have some help with Novice John. He might be coming over this morning to help along with it. But by the grace of God, hopefully at the end of this day, but if not today, tomorrow, we'll finish it up. We'll wind up with a nice little batch of honey to add to the stash that we've already got. And as I'm passing through the grounds right here, you might see there's a little bit of construction going on. Let me show you this. This part of the peacock pen was completely rebuilt. The termite damage was terrible on these structure posts. And what actually happened, even though there was termite damage on them, that big green machine way over there, that one right there, that lift, which is parked underneath this structure, as it was coming through probably about 2 months ago, it hit the top of the structure up here and pushed the whole ceiling over. And it was actually cheaper to rebuild to build new instead of rebuilding. So that's what they're doing. They did that. But at the same time, look at this. They're re-roofing the entire structure. And this is really going to help out with all of our boxes that we keep underneath here, and all my equipment that I store underneath this roof inside the peacock bin. And yesterday I came and put that tarp down to cover up some of the boxes. I see my box right here collapsed, so because we did have rain yesterday and we're supposed to have rain again today and tomorrow, so I just want to protect this as best I can. But that'll be something else. But let's get inside the honey house. And the first job that I'm going to have to do when I get in here is to set up my extractor, the pump on it. Let's get inside and get to work. All right, let me show you what we got going on in here. These boxes right here, these are all boxes that have frames in them, but there's not enough honey in any of these things for me to worry about it. So all these boxes are going to be put outside, just let the bees finish robbing them out. And these boxes at this end all have some honey on them. And it's not, it just varies. The amount of honey, it just varies in them. But there's enough honey in these boxes for me to go ahead and spin out. And I would say this is pretty typical of what we're going to be finding. Just a little bit of honey, but still it's enough. I can throw that, uncap that, throw that in the extractor, and we're going to probably get 3 or 4 teaspoons of honey out of that, right? But I've got a bunch of those frames. I think this, I said before, about 180 frames in here. So that's the work that John and I are going to be doing. Speaking of John, look, he's over there hiding over there. And he's going to be helping me this morning. But this is our first job, putting the pump that goes underneath the extractor. See, it's got a hook up right there. And I'm telling you, it's a challenge. And I'm going to save you all the grief of watching us struggle to do this. So once it gets mounted, I'll show you what it looks like, and we'll proceed from there. It has been about 40 minutes of painstaking misery, but with the help of my buddy John, we were able to get everything set up. Our pump is now attached to the extractor. Our outtake hose right here is attached. At this end, it's attached to the pump, and at this end, it's attached to the hose or pipe that drains into our tank. So everything is set up correctly. And now let me show you how we're going to be actually uncapping this honey to put the frames into our extractor. Now you might be wondering, Mr. Ed, you have all this equipment right here to do uncapping. Why aren't you using it? Well, it's obvious, because it's got stuff all over it, right? No, it's just, we just don't have enough honey to get all of our machines dirty. I'd lose too much honey to it. So we are going to be doing it the old-fashioned way. That's right. We are going to be scraping the cappings off with a scraper, and once the cappings are scraped off, they are just going to be, the frames are going to be placed into the extractor. Once the extractor is loaded up, we'll spin it out. So John is now going to demonstrate, right?
I've done this.
Well, you won't be able to say that after this. How are we going to be doing this?
Should I start now?
Go ahead. So John's going to demonstrate how we're going to be doing this. And like he said, this is the first time he's done it. So anybody who's doing it for the first time, there's nothing to this. It's just a matter of taking your scraper tool and scraping the cappings off. That's all it is. There's so many different ways to uncap the honey frames, but for us on this particular way of doing it, since we only have so few hives frames to do, just using our scraper is going to do the job perfect enough for us to do it. And the more that you do this, or even John does this, he'll get faster and faster, and before long we should have all those frames done. So we're going to just keep watching him as he does his thing.
Take it for the other side.
It looks good to me. And as long as all the cells are opened up, that honey will come out in the extractor. So now he's just going to put it in the extractor. Bingo. All right, you ready to do the rest of them?
Merry Christmas to all you bee lovers out there.
You ready to do the rest of them?
Absolutely.
Good, because I'm going to go take a break. our extractor all loaded up. That's 48 frames. And as you can see, as we put the frames in there, even though outside temperature today is pretty warm, it was like 60 degrees, that honey is still flowing pretty good down there. In fact, it's flowing so good, we've already got some in our hose. So it's time now to turn on the motor on the extractor. And normally this is good time Charlie's job, but I'll have to do the job today for myself. I'm going to try to show you the honey that's coming out of the frames down in the bottom of the extractor. It's getting there. Now I'm going to have to turn on that pump to get some of that honey out of here. Extractor is stopped running, and this is what the frames look like after it's run. Now even if I didn't scrape off all of the cells on the frames, that's fine with me, because all these frames are going to be set outside, and the bees are going to rob out all the rest of the honey that's in here, which is fine with me. But on that first run with our 50 frames or 48 frames, we got, I would say we got at least 4.5, 5 gallons out of that. So I really kind of figured I'd be getting about 15 gallons total from all these frames. So our first run with about 4 or 5 gallons, that's not bad. Now, I mean, there's still plenty of honey left in that hose right there, as well as a little bit in the bottom of the tank. So it probably was a 5-gallon run. So now the next step, we're going to be emptying the frames from the extractor, and then I'll be handing the frames to John, and then John will be placing them into our box. And that's it. Our extractor is now empty, so now the whole process is going to start over again. Here's our stack of empty frames, and they'll stay on the little dolly until I get all of them done. And at that point, all of these boxes right here that have been spun out with honey, as well as all those boxes right there, because there's still honey in those. I just didn't want to take the honey out of them. All of these will go out on our back porch and let the bees rob it out. Time to start the whole process over. actually had a visitor, Peter Stuckey from Little Rock, Arkansas, came and brought his two daughters, Sarah and Rachel, and son Daniel, and his fiancee Kate, and they came over and man, they stayed almost an hour and a half, 2 hours. Gave them the big nickel tour over here. So here's, I went and ran out this second batch of honey and got, gee whiz, just as much, if not maybe even a little bit more on this run. So I'm saying we're close to it. It's a 30-gallon, so we're almost halfway. So we probably got 10 plus gallons of wax, but I got a lot of wax in there. So that's not to be accounted for. But I'm going to get all the wax in there and then get that out of there. And emptied out the extractor once more. And it's almost ready for tomorrow. So we're going to pick this up tomorrow. See y'all then. Good morning on day 2 of pulling all the honey out of the supers that I took off of our boxes over the last week. And yep, today I'm by myself. I got a really early start today because I want to get this thing done hopefully around noontime today. And so I can get out of here a little bit early. Overnight, the honey in our drum, I should say the wax in the drum, has settled out and it's now risen to the top. We have about, that's a good inch of wax that's floating in there right there. And our honey begins about here and goes down. So there may be actually a little bit more honey there than I thought. You know, it really doesn't matter what we wind up with. I'm hoping that by the time I'm finished, I'm going to be above this line right here with honey. So hopefully it'll be around 20, 25 gallons if I'm really lucky. We'll get to that point. But we'll see. I've got, these are the rest of the boxes that I have to do. There's really 9 full boxes, so that's 9 times 10, that's 90 frames or two runs of the extractor. So before I get started, let me show you what the wax looks like in the top of the drum, because once I start pumping that honey up, it's going to get all mixed up again. Let me show you that real quick, and then I'm going to drain the honey that's in the extractor in there as well. There is our wax, all floated to the top, and a little bit better view of it, closer up where you can see it. There's the line of honey right here, and the line of wax. And as I do not filter any of our honey, it's just whatever comes out, that's what is in there. And I simply skim this part off, and the rest, well, that's what you're going to get when you buy our honey. And this is the honey that I'm going to pump this stuff out of here so the extractor will be empty. So that'll be my first job, and then I'll turn all of my attention to scraping off the cappings in all of these boxes. I am once again reminded why I like using my uncapping machine. To do these 48 frames, I timed it, and it took me an hour and 35 minutes to do them. And golly, I don't think I'm going to get that much honey out of them when I do it. Now before I began pumping that honey, the level in the drum was right here. So we added that much more, but there's a lot of wax in there. We really won't know how much honey that was that we pumped in there. But one thing that I noticed, even when I was removing the cappings from all those frames, almost half of them, the honey was like black as a blackberry. It was incredibly dark. I don't know the reason for that, obviously the nectar source, but at least 25 of those frames that were in there this time, that honey was dark, 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 and didn't taste any different. Tasted pretty good actually, because I did taste it. And it obviously, it makes a difference, as you saw when the honey was coming out, the color of it. It's almost molasses looking instead of amber looking. But regardless, I'm not worried about what it looks like. I'm worried about more what it tastes like. And I know it's tasting good. I got 39 more frames to do. So that means I'm going to add a couple of frames to the extractor to balance out the load. And when I get that one loaded up, I'll show you what that one looks like. As my beautiful wife Mona always, is so fond of saying, that didn't take no time at all to do. I bet you it didn't take 45 minutes to do this batch, but that's because there was just so little honey on these frames. Time to start the spinner up, get that honey thrown out of there. And there is the very last bit of the honey. I am going to take a chance. I think it'll make it. I think I'll be able to pump all of that into this space right here in the drum, because I really would like to get that level of wax as close to the top as possible, so it'll be a lot easier for me to skim that off. And whatever honey is left in the hose and in the tank itself, once my drum is filled up, I'll just put that into a tray, and don't worry, I'm not going to get rid of it. Now let's see how close to the top I'm going to get this honey to go. Ooh, that is close, real close, and got almost all of it out of there. So there's, between the honey that's in this tank and that honey in that hose, I'll bet you there's another gallon, or at least half a gallon for sure. All right, there's only one thing left to do now. Oh yeah, let me tell you, my guess as far as our honey, since we got a full drum, but we're going to probably have about that much wax in it. So as a 30-gallon drum, I'm going to say we're going to have 26 gallons of honey for sure. Not a bad haul. Now let's get outside and close up this video, because I got a little treat for you outside, especially for all you northern beekeepers. Here's that little treat. Can you believe that? Today is December 27th, and we got bees, and they are just cleaning up all that honey that was left on their frames. Now normally we'd have a lot more, but golly, for December, whew, this late in December, that's a lot of bees. Time to wrap this video up. Wow, what a great way to end 2024. Getting another, I don't know, 25, 26 gallons of honey, and then getting to stand in all these bees while they're cleaning it up. So, I mean, I really am glad that I've got all these boxes in now. All of our hives are now down to 2 bodies, so that's already for splitting, and that's another great way to enter into 2025. Thanks for watching. Keep on watching, and I will be making more. God bless. Mr. Ed, me and the bees, we're out into the next video. And here's a little more lanyap video for all those that stick around to the very end. Show you what it looks like the next morning, because I've got to come in here this morning and clean up this little bit of mess right here. But here is our drum of honey, and there's our honey line right here. So we've got about a good 2 inches solid 2 inches of wax on the top that I'll pull that stuff out after I get back from Napi. I'll pull that out and strain that out and then render that little bit of wax. But I drained, before I left yesterday evening, I drained all the honey that was in the hose and in the tube right here. And I guarantee that's 1.5 gallons of honey, if not more, inside of that. So if I add this to this, I'm telling you, I'm close to 30 gallons of honey. And all of the interior of the extractor is pretty much drained out. There's still honey in there, but what I'm going to be doing right now is I'll go ahead and filter out this honey right here, and then once I do that, I'll take all the hose, the pump, all that stuff off and wash out the extractor, and I'm just going to use the little electric pump right there. It won't take that long. Get this job wrapped up. God bless.